Notice anything different about this episode of Slice and Pie? Yeah, I got a shirt. Hello and welcome. No, this is not for sale. And yes, we are trying some different things. Unfortunately, the whole effect is a little lost because the second floodlight, I can't get it to the power strip with the rest of the lights. So unfortunately, I'm gonna have to wait for the two-tone gradient that I was gonna do, but at least right now we got something going on. And I think it looks pretty amazing. Let me know down below if you, A, would love to see this as something that you can buy, and B, what you think about having the backlight being a completely different color than everything else. Yeah, moving on from that, how are you guys doing? So let's actually get into the tech and gaming news, because we have an interesting week, or we had an interesting week, all things considered. A YouTuber has actually successfully fixed the Canon EOS R5. Now, the EOS R5 is an absolutely impressive, like amazingly impressive camera, but it has one critical flaw. It cannot record for more than 20 minutes without overheating. Now, in a temperature controlled room, you can reduce some of the cooldown process on that, and it generally breaks down to about 20 minutes of recording with like a couple hours of waiting for it to cool down. This YouTuber, I'm actually have been subscribed to him for a while, does amazingly weird stuff with PC builds. Like his PC builds are on a level that I never think I will ever be able to get to, but at the same time, I watch his stuff because it's quite cool. He took apart the camera, he actually created a custom heatsink for it. He water cooled it at one point, and he actually got a working solution that realistically and feasibly could be mass produced, and Canon could even maybe upgrade these cameras so that they have these problems fixed. Honestly, it was really cool to watch, and I'm going to be leaving a link in the description for you guys to watch it as well, just because it's really cool, and if you actually like camera tech, it's definitely something interesting and a different change of pace than what I normally talk about on this channel. NVIDIA did release the 3060 Ti, and it's just another paper launch. Unfortunately, it seems that almost every tech product this year is being paper launched, but this one looks pretty compelling. You get roughly 3080 super performance for an absolutely amazing price. And honestly, like, it's cool to see. Like, it has NVIDIA competing in a market that they don't normally compete in. They're competing in the low end, which is normally where AMD likes to kind of like edge things out. So actually it does make something like the 5700 XT much harder to recommend, because this new GPU, once it's available, will be around the same price, but much better performance. Well, close to. I've done comparison data on that, and it's still gonna be a better GPU for less money. So it's a good thing, but problem is you can't buy it right now. It's completely sold out everywhere, just like every other GPU at the moment. That being said, AMD might actually be refreshing their 5700 XT to the 6700 XT. It looks like AMD is actually going to be prepping and launching the 6700 and the 6700 XT next year, which actually would put them in some pretty interesting competition with NVIDIA with a SKU for SKU yet again. That being said, overall, I'm kind of excited by the idea of the 3070 Ti, 3080 Ti, because we know those are coming, all having competition on AMD's side. Like, that's kind of awesome to actually see that we're gonna have the 6700 XT, the 6800 XT, and the 6900 all on Team Red. So essentially, we actually have a lot of compelling products. I just wish you could buy them, because yeah, you just can't. For GPUs that do currently exist and we know about, we actually found out something pretty interesting. The 6800 and the 6800 XT are excellent overclockers. Now, this is actually kind of surprising. The last few generations, there were only really a couple of megahertz to gain, but Der Bauer was able to actually get the GPU to the point that it hit a strong hardware limit, or actually no, it was a software limit. It was a firmware limit, that's what it was. He hit a strong firmware limit that prevented the card from going any further, which is kind of nuts. And JayzTwoCents, with just an AIB version of the card, was able to gain 1,000 points on TimeSpy, which is absolutely nuts. And I'm kind of excited because, as you guys know, when I finally get my 6800 XT, I'm putting it under liquid. And with that, plus the new Ryzen processors, I can just see so much overclocking going down. Smart access memory is actually being turned on a couple of motherboards that AMD said they wouldn't be able to be. Some manufacturers are actually pushing out BIOS updates that will allow smart access memory to run on things like an X470 or B450 motherboard, which is actually kind of interesting because, you know, it did seem like AMD was pushing this as like a exclusive feature, but the AIBs have another thing to say about it. Speaking of AIBs though, having another thing to say about smart access memory, ASUS is turning it on Intel's side. Yeah, they're just flat out putting out a BIOS update that's going to make it work with Intel's latest platform. This is exciting and very interesting because, as I said, normally this kind of like gatekeeping is an NVIDIA thing, and this time around AMD is the one doing it. That being said, from what I understand, smart access memory is actually just a Microsoft feature that has a more official name, but essentially AMD was just first to it, and it's not actually all that difficult to implement. I think it's called like something bus, variable bus bandwidth, something like that. I'm just gonna boom on screen right there. But essentially, it's coming to Intel platforms, certain ones. So check your motherboard, see if it actually got a BIOS update that enables one of these features, because they're definitely coming, and it's pretty interesting to see. Razer has partnered with ASRock to release the Razer Edition Taichi motherboards. And I think I've talked about these in a prior episode, but now they're out, and I kind of love them. Like, I unapologetically love them. They are by far the most interesting motherboard I have seen in a while. Now, there is the ASUS Dark Hero for roughly the same price. That is also pretty interesting, that just came out. But these Razer Edition Taichi motherboards have Razer Chroma built in, meaning all the RGB is controlled through Razer Chroma, which to me is infinitely better than any of the RGB software that I've used in recent years. I actually really dislike a hard limit on ASUS's RGB software. It doesn't allow you to create custom profiles for video games. Like, if I could do that, I would have my RGB match whatever game I'm playing. Now, that can be a reality, and I am super stoked about it. I am actually very much planning on getting the X570 version of this motherboard as soon as I can, and I'm going to probably throw it into Supernova. I actually have a build plan that's gonna be a bit more intensive than the ones that I normally do. I'm actually gonna be doing a full custom theme built around Razer Chroma. So we're gonna have to wait till next year, because I also want to put a 6800 XT in that system, or a 3080 in that system, but I can't buy either of them right now. So it's gonna be a little while, but there is gonna be a really interesting Razer themed PC build on this channel. Lee finally released the O11 Dynamic Mini. I have seen some pretty awesome builds in it. It is the weirdest, most complicated case I've ever seen, and I love it for that. It can do way more water cooling than any case in its size class. It is wider than most mid towers, but it definitely has the size of a mid tower, and it looks great. And you can put full size motherboards, mini ITX, micro ATX, whatever you want to put in there, you can put in there. Minus, I think, eATX is the only thing not on the list. But either way, It's really cool. I've seen some really cool builds. I'll actually link to a cyberpunk build from another YouTube channel, just twice the size of this one. And honestly, like, it's a really good build, and it's just a really nice case. And I hate that I have too many projects on my plate to work in it right now. Fractal has updated the Meshify. The Meshify 2 comes in two variants, the Meshify and the Meshify 2 XL. Now the Meshify 2 XL looks like it's using the exact same tooling that I use for the case for dark matter, which is actually the Fractal R7 XL or R8 XL. It's again, text on screen and link to the video. I loved this case, by the way, for its modularity, its complexity, its like ability to open up and be used. And with the Fractal Design Meshify XL, it would be like the perfect version of this case for me. Personally, I actually really like it. And so I kind of want to get that version. It is cheaper. And you can fit so much hardware, and you can even load it up with drives just like this one, which you couldn't do with the Meshify. The reconfigurability was not there. So honestly, really, really cool stuff. And I love the fact that Fractal, although reused tooling, is reusing excellent tooling, for a new case that is just gonna be flat out better because it gets better airflow. You like Half-Life. You played Half-Life 1, you played Half-Life 2, you may have even played Half-Life Alyx. But have you played Black Mesa? Black Mesa is an interesting thing. Honestly, I really didn't hear much about it until recently when I bought it on a Steam sale. It's a full recreation of Half-Life 1 in the Half-Life 2 source engine. And it's kind of amazing. The only reason we're really talking about it, even though I think it's a bit of old news, is they just released a definitive edition of the game for free. Anybody who has the game got the definitive edition, and yeah, the weirdest part about this game is the fact that Valve didn't make it. Fans made it, and Valve allowed them to sell it on Steam, which is actually absolutely kind of nuts. But it's really cool, and honestly, just with the gameplay that you saw on screen, if you're a huge Half-Life fan, this one may have slipped under the radar for you. Super Nintendo World is going to be opening in Japan next year, and it looks mind-blowingly amazing. Now, for those of you who don't know, I currently live in the state of Florida, which is actually slated next to get this upgrade, and I can't wait for it now. Like, the footage from the Japan part just looks so good. Like, Universal, as someone who goes to these theme parks a lot, used to be the B theme, like a B movie. Their theming wasn't as great as Disney's. And now they're in an arms race to build better and better themed areas, and I love it. Like, walking through Diagon Alley for the first time is absolutely one of the most amazing experiences I've ever had at a theme park. It's literally like the movie where Harry walks through and he's like, oh, you feel that. Like, it's amazing. So to see that the Nintendo treatment looks like the video games came straight out and into the real world, I can't wait. It looks awesome. And yeah, I know it's gonna take like 2 to 3 years to get to Universal Studios Orlando, but once it's there, I'm gonna have to go. All right, and then we're gonna end on kind of an interesting story. VR is something that has been, like it's been going. It's not like, it hasn't changed the gaming landscape at all, but it's getting cheaper. And the stuff from Ready Player One is starting to become a reality. Omnidirectional treadmills already exist. The VR headsets already exist, but now you can buy the sensory vest. For $300, you can get yourself a vest that will allow you to simp as hard as you want for your virtual crush in a game that doesn't really exist. But still, yeah, it's honestly interesting to see that this exists. I kind of can see where this is going. Linus Tech Tips actually did a video on smell-o-vision for VR. So that plus like the sensory vest plus an omnidirectional treadmill, we're getting really close to Ready Player One. And I'm excited. I personally am very excited for what the future holds. And who knows, maybe you guys will be seeing something VR related on this channel. I mean, only time will tell. I'm sure at some point I will get a VR headset. But that's gonna end it for us. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed watching this video, you can leave a like, comment, subscribe. I do content like this all the time. Yeah, I still suck at editing videos. So Wolfie, out.